They have to come up with new categories for the awards. The Golden Globes came up with a new one this year. Basically, picture people liked. They had, they had, they had become such self-congratulating, virtue-signaling bores that they had to go, oh yeah, let's make a category for that. People actually paid to see something great. So there's new Oscar categories. Would you like to hear the Oscar category? I know you will. I really want to hear them.
Let's be honest, award shows feel kind of crazy now. Walking into one feels like going to a party where everyone is busy clapping for themselves just for showing up. It's awkward, and lately, Bill Maher has been calling this out a lot. He says the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and all these big shows feel less like they're celebrating great movies and more like expensive lectures about who is the most morally correct. If you've ever watched a long award show and thought, why does this feel like homework? Then you get it. That's the heart of Maher's rant, and honestly, it's hard to disagree. These shows keep adding new award categories, not because movies suddenly changed overnight, but because culture did. The internet got louder, people got angrier, and the industry got nervous. Now everyone is racing to prove they're on the right side of the latest drama. You can feel it. Some new categories make sense, like when streaming totally changed how movies are made and watched. That stuff actually mattered. But then there are the other categories, the ones created after a panicked meeting where someone says, people are mad again, we need to look thoughtful, and suddenly there's a new award that's basically Best Picture, but only for movies people actually liked. Maher jokes that the Golden Globes made an award just for movies audiences enjoyed, and it's funny because it's true. Imagine needing a trophy just to say, yes, people paid to watch this. Wild, stunning, brave, and also very strange.
The thing about the Oscars is they do reflect society. That's why we pay so much attention, partly. And things are always changing in our industry, like streaming. It just changed the whole industry. This happens so often. So they have to come up with new categories for the awards. The Golden Globes came up with a new one this year. Basically, picture people liked. They had become such self-congratulating, virtue-signaling bores that they had to go, oh yeah, let's make a category for that. People actually paid to see something great. So there's new Oscar categories. Would you like to hear the Oscar category? I know you will.
Regular people are out here working hard, paying bills, and trying to squeeze in a movie night. Meanwhile, award shows act like enjoying something is embarrassing. Oh, you liked it? Okay, but did it make you feel morally pure enough? That's why this whole virtue signaling awards culture annoys so many people. It's not that folks hate messages or social topics in movies. Movies have always had them, the best ones still do. The problem starts when the message becomes the whole point, and the story is just a delivery tool for a lecture. That's when audiences check out, ratings drop, and Hollywood panics. Instead of asking, how do we make this fun again? They ask, how do we add more categories so everyone feels included? It sounds nice, but it starts feeling like a fancy participation trophy factory. Maher's joke works because he pushes it to the extreme. He suggests fake awards like best editing for a movie that's still way too long, and honestly, that would be the toughest category of the year. You already know which films would get nominated. Then he goes completely off the rails with stuff like achievement in ethnic prosthetics, best performance by an actor who got replaced after an old tweet, or best freeze frame with "you're probably wondering how I got here." You laugh, but the joke also shows how weird the system has become. The point isn't that awards should never change, it's that these changes feel made for insiders, not for the audience. Like the people running the shows forgot who they're supposed to be entertaining.
The audience.
Best editing of a film that's still an hour too long. Achievement in ethnic prosthetics. Best achievement in replacing an actor who tweeted something offensive. Best use of a freeze frame, followed by the words, "You're probably wondering how I got here." The Michael Bay Coolest Fireball Award. The least annoying picture where the plot is driven by a simple misunderstanding. Best song performed by someone your niece can't believe you've never heard of.
This is where things get really interesting. Awards used to matter because they showed what the culture cared about. Even if you didn't agree with the winners, you could see the nominees and say, yeah, that kind of sums up the year. People would argue about it at work. They'd make bets. They'd have opinions. Now, half the time, the public hasn't even heard of the top nominees. Not because people are dumb, but because the process has drifted into this small, locked-off bubble where taste is judged by ideology points. You can feel the vibe. This is important. Okay, maybe. But was it actually good? Did it move anyone? Did people quote it or rewatch it? Did it stick? Or did it just get applause for checking the right boxes? When awards stop celebrating what people truly connect with, they start losing respect. It stops being best of the year and turns into best according to a tiny group that lives on Twitter.
Finally, best use of a real-life TV talk show host pouring himself out to make the movie seem more realistic.
How is President Ellis responding? What are the things you get a lot of laughing? Hey, no, I knew this would be a job. I mean, I knew it could be a hobby.
This leads to the bigger issue Maher keeps coming back to. Fear. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Fear a joke will be misunderstood. Fear a clip will go viral with no context. Fear of what he calls the mob. Step 1 inch out of line and you're done. Some people say cancel culture isn't real and you have to wonder where they've been. We've all seen careers destroyed over old tweets, bad jokes, awkward wording, misunderstandings, and sometimes straight up lies. Maher makes a tough but freeing point. Most outrage is shallow and short-lived. People get mad, scream online, demand punishment, and then 2 days later, they're mad about something else. The internet has the attention span of a hyper goldfish. He brings up Ben Stiller in Tropic Thunder, a movie people claim couldn't be made today. Stiller basically said, "I'm not apologizing." And guess what? His career survived. The world didn't end. That's the lesson Maher wants Hollywood to learn. Stand by your work and the outrage often fades. Is that always true? No, some people get hit harder than others, but if everyone apologizes before doing anything, the loudest critics end up controlling culture forever.
You know, when movie lovers get together these days, one phrase that comes up a lot and always makes me sad is, yeah, you couldn't make that one today. Top of that list is the great Tropic Thunder, which the Scolds have been after for years. But in February, Ben Stiller tweeted, "I make no apologies for Tropic Thunder. It's always been a controversial movie since when we opened, proud of it and the work everyone did on it." See, people, it's not that hard. He said it, and he still got a commercial. And the lesson is, if you stand up to the mob for just a day or two, their shallow, impatient, immature, smartphone-driven, gerbil minds will forget about it and go on to the next nothing burger, and you still will have your cojones.
This is where Maher's main idea really hits. He talks about rewarding courage, especially the kind that refuses to be pushed into one single way of thinking. He points to moments when leaders actually stood firm, like Netflix during the Dave Chappelle controversy. Employees protested, pressure grew, and Netflix basically said, "We do edgy comedy here. If that's not for you, maybe this isn't your place." Love Chappelle or hate him, that moment mattered. It was a company saying, "We're not letting internal activism rewrite our rules."
This next cojones goes to a man who's dear to my heart for standing up for stand-up. When dozens of Netflix employees walked out over Dave Chappelle's reckless decision to perform comedy on his comedy special, CEO Ted Sarandos could have pulled the special and replaced it with more episodes of Who Wants to Watch Koreans Get... But instead, he reminded his Netflix employees that comedy exists to push boundaries and told them if you find it hard to support our content breadth, Netflix may not be the best place for you.
Here's the uncomfortable truth no one likes to admit. A lot of woke messages in entertainment don't come from audiences. They come from inside the building, writer rooms, HR departments, studio politics. People who think their job isn't just to entertain, but to teach, correct, and shape the audience. Art should challenge people, absolutely, that's its job. But once it turns into a checklist and a sermon, it stops being art and becomes propaganda with better lighting. Maher also brings up J.K. Rowling. No matter how you feel about her, her story shows how fast moral rules change. She was once attacked by conservatives for writing about magic, and now she's attacked by progressives for her views on gender. It's like watching someone get recast as the villain in a new movie series. The bigger point is that today's hero can be tomorrow's enemy because online purity tests never end. That's why Maher's idea of an award show for people who resist cancel culture is both funny and sad. Funny because imagine the red carpet. Who are you wearing? I'm wearing I Don't Apologize by Dior. Sad because the idea got interest and then went nowhere. Of course it did. Even people who agree are scared to be the first one to speak up.
J.K. Rowling used to be a villain to the right because she wrote books about witchcraft. Now she's a villain to the left because she has the crazy belief that there's more to being a woman than pronouns and lipstick. So that was the point of the evening. How do we take a stand against cancel culture? And I suggested, since we were mostly all in show business, that we start an award show to honor the brave people who have fought back. Well, I got to tell you, the idea was met with great enthusiasm by everyone, and in short order, different people were suggesting the ways that their varied talents could be put to use.
The comedy part is where this hurts the most. Maher says comedians are treated like time bombs. The industry wants jokes, but only the kind approved by the most easily offended person in the room. He points out the weird contrast. Will Smith physically hit someone on the Oscars stage and wasn't instantly removed, but Kevin Hart lost his hosting job over old jokes. No matter how you look at it, the rules feel backwards. Real actions get brushed aside, while jokes are treated like serious crimes.
Woke hecklers who literally have to wait for the laughter to die down before they yell, "That's not funny." This war on jokes must end. Will Smith didn't get kicked out of the Oscars for going Ike Turner on Chris, but Kevin Hart got kicked out of hosting it for a joke.
This is the danger of turning entertainment into a non-stop moral court. You can't have real comedy in a culture that refuses to consider intent, context, or growth. Comedy is supposed to push limits, tease sensitive topics, and take risks. Not to hurt, but to be honest. It should make you laugh and then think, wait, should I be laughing at this? That tension is the craft. Maher doesn't stop with Hollywood, though. He goes after colleges, too. He talks about schools dropping standardized tests because they're called discriminatory, and he praises the ones bringing them back. His point is simple. College is supposed to be hard. It's not a feel-good participation award. Students should prove they're ready. He also mocks the idea that testing itself is racist, like measuring knowledge is somehow immoral.
First cojones goes to Dartmouth University President Sion Baylock, who reinstated standardized testing at admissions, and by bringing back the SAT, made a clear and brave statement. It's not racist to test if high school students know.
Here's a useful way to think about that debate. Even if standardized tests have problems, and they do, there's a difference between fixing a system and pretending all standards are bad. When you remove standards, you don't erase inequality. You just delay it, and the crash later is worse. When Maher jokes, if you're not smart, don't worry. Lots of schools are test optional. It's harsh, but it points to a real issue. Are schools aiming for excellence or just good optics? And this connects back to award shows. The Oscars and Golden Globes used to stand for excellence, even if they weren't perfect. Now the vibe feels like they're rewarding the right message, not the best work, and audiences notice. They can sense it. That's why people say, you couldn't make that today. It's not always literal. It's shorthand for creativity shrinking under pressure. Writers, directors, and comedians second-guessing everything. Everyone afraid of becoming the next online villain. That's how you get boring movies. Films that feel committee-made and legally approved. Characters that talk like HR emails, award shows that feel like corporate meetings.
Who are these people who say cancel culture isn't a real thing? Just among comedians who've gotten fired and lost gigs for exercising their freedom of expression, The toll is high. Gilbert Gottfried and Kathy Griffin were tasteless. So what? That's why we like them.
So yes, Maher's rant is funny, but it's also a warning. If Hollywood keeps chasing social approval instead of great stories, award shows will keep losing meaning, not because people hate progress or diversity, but because nobody wants to be lectured for 3 hours by rich people giving trophies to other rich people for stuff no one watched. The fix isn't hard. Reward brilliance, reward risk, reward stories that stick, reward performances people talk about non-stop, reward writing that isn't scared. Let comedy be comedy again. Messy, sharp, imperfect, and human. So let me ask you, do you still watch award shows? Do you think they've gotten better, worse, or just pointless? And what's the last movie you saw that felt truly bold, like it didn't care who it upset? Drop it in the comments. I honestly want to know, because culture doesn't belong to committees. It belongs to the audience. And if the industry wants people to care again, it might need to stop acting moral and start being great.